be stressed. Don't worry about it. Um, that's the easy way out, and it's not. It's not like that. Stress is something that we have to learn to deal with. You can go ahead. We have to learn to cope with because we're going to have stress. There's no way around it. We're going to have stress. So we have to think about what do we do to try to minimize the effects that the stress has on us. Okay. So we want to talk about coping with stress. Um, like a lot of times I tell people, you're going to have things happen in your life that's negative. The only way that's not going to happen is if you're not on this earth. So we have to then decide, okay, it's going to happen. Same with stress. We're going to have stress. And normally we have stress virtually every day. Sooner or later during the day, for the most of us, we're going to end up with some stress, whether it's from somebody else, etc. So what is stress? Okay, so for right now, take yourself off of mute so you can talk. Who can tell me what stress is? Just your opinion.
It's an overload.
Great, an overload. Okay. Overload of what?
Anxiety, fear.
Okay. What else? What else? Who else can tell me what their definition of stress is?
Overwhelmed with too many projects, trying to do too many things.
Okay. Great. Who else?
It could reduce it. It kind of takes away from the quality of life too, John. You're stressed out.
He said stress takes away from the quality of life.
Absolutely. So that creates more stress, right?
Yep.
So would anybody else have anything? So what is stress to you? Would you agree that everything around us can create stress?
Yes.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay. The people around you can create stress. All right. The idea of your health can create stress. Other people's good health or bad health can create stress. Just people's expectations. Not the people you necessarily work for, because you kind of expect that, but just in general, everybody wants something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was said overload. The overload on our mind. Our brain becomes so overloaded. And then what happens is when somebody snaps, gets angry, then that creates stress again. It creates stress for the person that got angry. It creates stress for the person they're angry at. So it just builds and builds and builds until such time as something happens. People can't cope with it. We end up going to the doctor because we need medication. Somebody's in anxiety. The next thing you know, you're on some kind of antidepressant, or you're on Xanax, or some of the many medications, stuff to make you sleep, and then you're on something to help you keep you awake. And I mean, it becomes a nightmare as to what's happening to our mind. So what we have to do is, first thing I believe we have to do is we have to understand that we are going to have stress, okay? So Patty put on the definition of stress, and according to the dictionary, okay? So it's constraining a force or influence, a force exerted when one body or body part presses on, pulls, pushes against, or tends to compress or twist another body part especially. Okay, so really if you think about the brain, okay, isn't that what's happening? We're pulling ourselves from one direction to another, okay? If you have children, you have to go this direction, you have to get them somewhere, you have to take care of them. And then you got the spouse, you've got friends, you've got, siblings, et cetera, et cetera. So everything is just pulling in all different directions. And that pounds per square inch is just more than most of us can deal with, all right? But letter C, a physical, chemical, or emotional factor that causes bodily or mental tension and may be a factor in disease, castration. Okay, what does that mean? What it means is when we're under constant stress, mental stress, our brain cannot produce the different chemicals that are needed in order to keep everything balanced. So therefore, what happens is it creates a physical deterioration of our health. So a lot of people that have health issues is because of stress. Who can tell me the number one cause of death in our society? Anybody want to take a shout what that is?
Number one, what, John?
Cause of death.
Oh, well, heart attack.
Heart attack, yeah, heart attack.
Okay, cardiovascular. Okay, heart attack, strokes, etc. Exactly. Why do you think that we have so many people suffer from that issue, from that physical ailments? You think everybody's heart just started deteriorating? In reality, it's not. It's because of our mental stress. Think about when you come under stress, you become angry, you become just upset, you become overwhelmed. What do you think your heart is doing? Beating too fast?
Pumping harder.
Pumping harder, exactly, okay? That has to pump that blood flow. Now, think about when you get angry, upset, if you ever were to pay attention or you watch somebody else, they become very uptight, okay? Their face will get red. A lot of times people will clench their fists. They quit breathing. They almost like hold their breath. Well, what's happening is the main thing that you're putting stress on is your heart, because the blood vessels that go into the heart and come out from the heart contract. They become tight and very small. So the blood flow really can't move the way it's supposed to. So your heart has to pump that much harder in order to get the blood where it's supposed to. And people will actually get so upset, get so anxious that they'll pass out, okay? If it goes on long enough. But if almost every day, what happens is you're upset, you get irritated easy, things are bothering you, etc. That's what's happening to your cardiovascular system all the time. So oftentimes, when I do the Zyto exams, I will see that cardiovascular will say, oh, it's okay. But then when we get down to emotions, I'll see such things as fear and anger and jealousy and on, okay? And all of those things come into factor, and we're carrying all those, and they're way stressed. So all of those things are bothering us, whether we realize it or not. We're carrying all those issues in our mind, and that is creating mental stress, which is actually creating a physical poor health and breaking down the rest of the body. So what do we need? What do we need to do about it? Okay, I mean, what can we do? We can't quit living. We can't crawl in a hole and a cave and say, okay, you know what? Let everything go by. We have to live our life. We have to do our job. We have to take care of the family. We have to, get dinner. We have to do all those things. So what do we need to do in order to try to let this not destroy us? All right. But before I go there, I want to go into the symptoms. Okay. I think that's when I mentioned when people get angry. These are all the things that can create can be created by stress, okay? So we'll start with the skin irritations. So a lot of times when people have a lot of skin irritations, they have a lot of stress, mental stress. Why? Because skin is the largest limited organ of the body. You're holding on, you're carrying toxins, and you have to, they have to get out, and that's through the skin. Muscle tension, I mentioned tightening of everything. Grinding teeth. If you know of somebody sometimes it's even when they're sleeping, people will grind their teeth. Now, if you grind your teeth and you go to a doctor or dentist, they'll say, well, sometimes they'll do many things. They'll shave the teeth down so that they'll tell your jaws is not structured right. So we might need to go in and shave and this is true in case you haven't ever heard of this, they'll shave the jawbone down. Or they'll cut part of the jawbone out in actuality, okay? But the problem is our teeth grinding, very few people's jaw is really out of whack. It is because we're stressed, all right? Apathy, okay? So that's Latin from, it's without feeling. We just kind of have lack of interest, no enthusiasm, no concern about anything. We just kind of go through life and say, oh, well, I don't care. And you might say, well, what difference that makes? Well, it makes a lot of difference to other people, okay? If you go through life and you're in a relationship and you're just kind of like, whatever, that creates stress for that other person, then back to you as well. Trouble concentrating. If your brain is overloaded, you're not going to concentrate. You have to understand one thing. A lot of people say, I can multitask, okay? How many of you think you can multitask? I would love to see a show of hands of people that say, I can multitask. Anybody want to raise their hand, thinks they can?
I do, but I don't do it very well.
Okay. Okay, anybody else think they're good at multitasking?
Oh, good at it. I don't know about good at it.
What, Pat?
No, I'm like that lady that just spoke. I can do it, but I'm not good at it. I mean, I have to. Yep.
Okay, anybody else? It's a proven fact. It's a proven fact we cannot multitask. Our brain is not made to multitask, okay? I know Kim doesn't agree with me. I can see the look on her face, okay? You do not multitask. So I'm going to give you an example. Here's an example, okay? You're driving down the road and you can't find, you're lost. You're not sure where you're at. You're looking for a house number, whatever. Other people are in the car. Your kids are in the car. You got the radio on. Here's what we do. You tell everybody, be quiet. I'm looking for this, because you can't listen and think what you're trying to do. You can't, you're lost. You have the radio on. You're going to turn the radio down. All right. Why? Because your brain is not capable of two things coming at it at once. So when we live our life and we think we can take care of the family, take care of work, take care of everything else, the finances, and try to do it all at once, something gets left out. We can't do it. Okay, so we can't concentrate. We call that, in what I call it when I work with my employees, we call that jumping. Okay, you're not finishing things because you're doing this and then you drop that and you do this and then you think I'm going to come back to that. People call that multitasking. That is not multitasking. That is jumping from one thing to another. All right, and that's where mistakes come across, etc. So you can look up the studies. For those of you who think but when Muriel said she's not very good at it, none of us are. None of us are good at multitasking, doing two things at once. All right, we need to concentrate on something. That's why when you are done with work, you need to leave it at work. If you take your work home, you're not going to be as effective at home as you would be if you left work at work. When you go to work, you need to leave home at home. All right. But a lot of people, what they do is they bring home to work, they take work to home, and they're all clashing. And you think I can do all that at once, and we really can't. All right. So that's
For many of us, work is home now.
well, that's true. And that's one of the things that's creating a problem. Okay. It is creating a problem. Who said it, Judy?
Kim, that was you, right?
Kim? Okay, Kim, that's a great point. And that's what's creating even more stress at this time, because right now work and home are all bunched together for a lot of people. And that is creating a problem, because what happens is people are trying to take care of the home At the same time, they're trying to work, and vice versa. And that's just, it doesn't work. Okay, a good point. Stress creates headaches. Can be migraine, can be tension, or both. If you have a headache, you're not going to be able to concentrate. Okay. If you have a headache, you're going to have apathy because you just can't function and you can't cope. Anxiety, heart racing. We talked about that a little bit. It can create anger. Sometimes people say to somebody, why are you angry all the time? It's because they're stressed. Okay. Because they're stressed. And when you're stressed and there's so much coming on you, and I think most of you would agree that you've had times with people that you love and adore, and all of a sudden they just seem like they're angry, they're snapping at you. And it's not because of the fact that you are, they're mad at you, they've just got so much and you just happen to be the one that they snapped at. And remember, most of the time, we take it out on the people we love the most, okay? We don't normally get angry at people we don't know or that are different. It's the people that are closest to us because we feel a bit more comfortable with it, okay? So then that creates stress because if somebody I'm close to snaps at me and I'm thinking, what the heck was that about? It creates stress for me. And unfortunately, I'm probably going to say something back that probably is going to create more stress. All right. So it's all about the things in our mind that continue to go back and forth that create stress. And we all know that when we get angry, the best thing you should do is what?
Quiet.
Pardon? What did you say?
Keep your
Take a
mouth.
step back.
Take a step back, keep your mouth shut. Okay. You know, there's an old saying, you can't take the words back. All right.
Right.
Once it comes out, it's out. And sometimes we have a tendency when we're angry to say things we don't mean. We didn't mean it, but that person doesn't understand that. Stomach problems. Okay. Stomach problems, because it's called a gut-brain connection. When we have issues and we're overly stressed, our stomach tightens up. Unfortunately, we have a tendency to eat too much. We have a tendency to, eat the wrong foods and put them in, which creates a whole nother series of stress about our health and everything else. It can create sexual problems. Okay, if somebody is stressed and libido drops because of the stress, the other person in the relationship wonders what's going on. That creates stress for both. It creates stress with muscles and joints because the muscles cramp up. You start having anxiety, you start having headaches, etc. Muscle tension, all of a sudden you're going to get leg cramps and different things like that. So this is a symptoms of stress. So as you can see, it's not just one thing. Oh, I'm stressed. You can think you're not stressed. And oftentimes I'll ask people, how is your stress? And they'll say, no, it's okay. Well, the problem is we get used to it. Okay. When COVID started and a lot of people had to work at home, they were really stressed and they felt it. But now we've gotten used to it for a lot of people. And they're kind of like, well, this is the way it is. But it isn't the way it should be because the human body is breaking down because it's an overload. Plus, we don't know when it's going to end, if it's going to end. Vaccinations are coming out, but what's going to be the side effects? Anybody can feel any anxiety about that?
Yep.
I think so. Okay, because I tell everybody, they ask me if I'm getting this. I said, I'm not going to be first in line. Okay, if anybody wants to crowd ahead of me, they're welcome to. All right, because I'm not
even gonna be last in line.
Okay, good for you. Okay, so here's what we need to do. When you're stressed, now this may seem like, you know what, this may seem like I just don't need one more brain exercise when my brain is overloaded. And this is where we have to decide that we need to do some things to strengthen the brain. We need to start thinking about other things rather than the things that are stressing us. All right. So we're going to do, we're going to do a little bit of a drill, and Patty just went to answer her phone, so I'm going to have her switch this, but we're going to do a little exercise, and I'm going to ask her to put the screen back just a second. Okay. So we can see people. Okay. It's going to be very simple. And it's called shooting the thumb. Okay. So Patty's going to demonstrate.
Oh, we're gonna do that one? Okay, there's a couple of them we can
Okay.
do. All right, so shooting the thumb. That's pretty funny because I can't do it. So Jenna showed us this at our team meeting last week. All right, so one thumb up. Let's everybody do it together. Okay, come on, one thumb up. Other hand, finger pointing to the thumb. Now,
Keep the other thumb down.
right, so
Yep,
just
like
finger
Heather does.
pointing, one thumb up. So now you're gonna switch.
Oh.
So you're
So you
gonna,
shoot this thumb. This thumb comes down. Okay. This finger comes up, and this thumb comes up.
all right? Then we're gonna do it again.
Okay,
You're
now
gonna
do
go
it
the other way.
reverse.
That's hard.
You really have to think about it, and
Okay.
then you're gonna go back and do it the other way. I can do it
Okay.
better one way than the other. We're pointing at each other. All right,
Oh yeah,
so
it is.
it's hard. So it makes your brain think. You
Mm-hmm.
really have to focus and helps you
Right.
get rid of the other stuff that's in your head or forget about it for a little while.
And if you do little exercises like this, okay, so this, if you shoot the thumb, okay, boom, this, boom, okay, it takes away from, it's like endorphins that actually evolve in your brain. And I'm going to tell you, if you start doing that, you'll quit thinking about for a little while, and you don't need to do it for a long time. For a little while, you take your brain away from all those stressors, and it doesn't take long in order to relax the brain. Think about this. As I watched everybody doing, the ones that have their pictures up, okay, everybody was laughing, okay? Virtually everybody was laughing when we were doing it. What do you think that does to the brain?
Relaxes it.
It relaxes, because they say if you could have a 10-minute belly laugh every day. Yeah. Now, does everybody know what a belly laugh is?
Uh-huh. I have a belly. Don't usually. That's a belly laugh, see?
That's a belly. You just gave us a belly laugh, okay? So, it's the laughter. It's things that you want to do, even if it's short amount of time, to make you just forget everything and laugh and get that oxygen into your system. Okay. So another.
Can we try another? Let's do that. That one's different.
Okay. Go ahead.
So, all right, so here's another one with your hand. So, come up with a fist with one hand, and then flat hand, you're pointing to the fist. And then you're going to switch. So this hand's gonna fist and this one's gonna point.
Oops.
She got two fists up. And then we go back.
Okay.
And then we do it again.
Yeah, those
Like,
are the
this is a little
little.
easier.
But you see, we get used to certain things. And in one of our classes we did recently, we talked a little bit about some of this stuff. And you get in a habit of certain things. Like when I drink my water, I pick it up with my right hand, I drink. Try doing things like just consciously say, I'm going to drink it with my left hand. Okay, I'm not going to use my right hand. Do something different. That takes away some of the stress. Now you might think, by doing this, it's automatic and I don't have to think about it. We want you thinking about other things than what stresses you. So if you, and I use the example of, and I do this when I'm thinking, when I'm doing my deodorant, I reach with my right hand, I do under the left arm, then I switch. So I've been switching it. It seems awkward at first. You take the left, start with the left, it does seem, but it makes your brain a little bit, takes it away from that routine. Unfortunately, a lot of our stress is caused by routine, the same thing all the time. How many of you ladies have ever said, every day, I gotta, I do this and this, and I gotta have dinner, and I gotta, it's a routine, and we get so locked into things that it becomes such hard work all the time. Even though somebody might say, what's a big deal? But it is, we need to change some things up. And that's why going out to dinner once in a while is a good thing. And so you break up the monotony, something different. Okay. But eat healthy though. Okay. So little things like that. Another one. Okay. So if you're close to a desk, take your right foot, just you're sitting down and put it straight out. Okay.
Stretch your right leg out.
Stretch your right leg out, straight out. Now, take your finger, your right hand, okay? Hold the finger up in the air. And now take your foot and rotate it clockwise. Just rotate it clockwise. Now, while you're doing that, make the figure 6.
With your finger.
With your finger. Tell me if your foot went the other way.
Tony's cracking up. What's your
Okay? What's your foot doing?
Same way, and I'm strange.
All right? It's things
can't
like
do it.
that. You're just amazed at what your body, how everything works. But if you do some of those things periodically when you're stressed and you do some of these little things, you're going to actually relax your mind. And just watching the people do this, it's so simple, but it's fun. And everybody's laughing. Everybody's like, okay, again, the laughter makes you calm down, relax. The easiest thing in the world is to say, breathe. Okay. All of you have heard me say 4-7-8, breathe. Yes, when you're driving and all stuff, you're not going to be driving down the road going like this. Okay. Okay. So, but little things when you're sitting around and you want to just do something to get your mind clear, try some of those little things like that, which will actually help you to release some of the stress that that's going on in your mind. Okay. All right. Do you have any other little drills?
No, that's what I had.
Okay. What's your thoughts about those? Just real quick. Anybody?
They're fun.
Fun.
I like it.
Excuse me, John?
Yes.
Yeah, Judy, would doing something like a word jumble or to find a word finder, that they have in the newspapers, would that be another brain exercise that would help you relax?
Okay. Well, it is. It can, but it's all dependent upon you, because I will tell you, and I'll just speak for myself. Sometimes I do those and I get so frustrated because I can't figure them out that it actually creates more stress. Okay. If you go into it saying, because so many people get into the, what's that number thing?
Sudoku.
Some people take it so serious because they can't figure it out, or they think, I'm too dumb to figure this out. Then it's not good for you because that creates more stress and it creates a deprivation of self-esteem. So a lot of it depends upon you and how you cope with it. So Tony can relate to this. Okay. I like to play golf. But there was a time when golf became so stressful for me, I didn't want to play it because I would come off the golf course if I had a really bad day, and I'd be more stressed than I did when I went to play. So it really wasn't helping me because the time I was taking to de-stress, I was increasing stress. Okay. So Judy, that was a good question. If you do that stuff and don't care, if you play a game with a family, let's say, what's that word?
Monopoly?
Any of those,
Scrabble.
Scrabble, any of those things. If you can do it and not care whether you win and you're just doing it for fun, great. But if you're the type that says, I've got to win, and if I can't figure out the word or whatever, I made the wrong move on the Monopoly board, whatever it might be, then no, that becomes a stressor. All right.
Okay.
And we all know people that take it too serious.
Right. Well, the word finder is a little bit easier than doing a kudo or, something like that. But the word finder is just, finding the word chair,
Right.
So
And it's
I
good
find
to
that,
get away from the computer and the TV too.
right.
No,
That.
one of the worst things for stress is playing games on your phone.
Yep.
Okay, it really is, because of just the way it's set up. If you're going to do it, you're better off in a book. You're better off on a board game, putting a puzzle together. And people that have a puzzle and they leave it on a table and they just put, a few pieces here and there as they walk by, oh, that might match. That's the kind of stuff you want. But if you have a puzzle and you say, I have to have this together by, by dinner time or something, or before the day's over, you don't want to do that, because that just puts more stress on you. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay,
Yes.
so what parts of your stress can you control? Okay. This part is, what can we control? And I believe we can control a lot more than we think we can. All right. The whole thing is that we, first of all, the main thing about brain and mental health is to put the right fuel in your body. That means eat right. That means, you've all heard this so many times, drink your water, take your nutrients, etc. Okay. That is first and foremost the most important thing. The less you do of that, the more junk you eat, the greater the more the stress is going to bother you. See, there's more stress, it's just going to affect you more. Okay. So we all have a certain amount of stress for the most part, and day-to-day stress. But if you eat badly, you're going to find out that stress is much harder to deal with. So it comes to a lifestyle. It comes to taking rest. Okay. It getting sleep. It exercise. That type of thing. Now, the other things, those are things that we can do. Hygiene is another thing. All right. Now, the things that might be a little bit more difficult is family history. All right. What does family history have to do with it? Well, if you grew up in a family where stress was very high and people didn't handle it very well, in your subconscious, that's the way you feel is supposed to be handled. It's not necessarily DNA as much as it is what we were taught as children, the way we should react to certain things. Okay. If you'll know somebody that's very laid back and they're kind of like, whatever happens, happens. Normally, if you go back to their family history, that's the way it was in their family. That's what they saw. If you see something that, if anything happens wrong or goes bad, they fly off the handle. That's probably what they saw as they were growing up. So, but it's something that we have to understand about ourselves, and we can work with and changing it. Exercise, we have to choose to exercise. If we choose not to, we don't release endorphins. We don't get rid of the excess energy that our body needs to get rid of. Relationships, okay? Relationships is a hard one. It's hard to get rid of your family. But maybe not.
I know a guy named Vinny.
Yeah, was that you?
You have children. I was talking with a woman today, and she said, my children I can't deal with it. I can't cope. They don't listen to me. They don't this. Well, I tried to explain to her, they're 7 years old, twins. You let them be that way. And now you want to change it on the spot. It doesn't work that way. Okay. You have to hold people accountable, no matter what their age, whether it's children, whether it's spouses, whether it's siblings. You have to hold people accountable. But if you've allowed something to happen a certain way for years and years and years, you can't just say change now.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to sit down and talk about it. And sometimes you have to make a decision that this isn't probably in my best interest or theirs. Okay. And it might be a blood relation. You might find that out. And that's the hardest thing to make a decision on. But if somebody you cannot or they cannot deal with or together, you can't do it because then you're stressed all the time. And understand, family and relationships, we think about it all the time, all the time. It's not, you can't say leave it at home. You can't say leave it at work, because it is a relationship and that's part of our everyday life, somebody else. And that's the hard part. So that one I would say is probably the hardest part of being able to control. The rest of it, we can control. Tony said that he went out and walked a golf course. That's exercise. Now, I'm going to tell you, he might be more tired today, but he's going to feel better. He's probably going to sleep better, etc. And if he ate something that wasn't the best to eat, he worked it out. Okay. So those are the things that we can control. Environment is another one, kind of like relationships. It is hard if we live in a climate where there's a lot of pollution in the air, but even then we can do certain things. We can do a foot bath. We can detox more regular and clean our body out. Okay. Relationships, you can't just do a detox and they go away. Okay. It just doesn't work. All right. So those are the things we can and cannot control. We have to work the things that we can. So we have to choose and say, what can I control? And basically, you pick an area, a small area of our life that I can control. Everything out of there, I cannot control. So if you can't control it, what should you do with it?
Forget about it.
Forget about it. Yeah, let it go. Okay. The election, no matter which side you're on, if you were on the side that won, great. If you're on the side that lost, you can't control it. I hear people say, I'm before the election, I want this so bad. All you can do is go vote. You'd vote, that's what you can do. That's what you can control. The weather, you can't control if it rains, it snows, whatever. You can't control it. So you've got to understand there's no sense in griping about it because you have no control. All right. Again, you can control the things that we talked about, your diet, your sleep, that type of thing. And if you're going to exercise or not, but you can't control the things outside of your parameters. Okay. So you take the things, even when you go, you want to focus just on a small amount of things that really matter to you. Okay. Things that don't matter, things that matter. And there's some things that are going to intertwine, but you pick some of the things, even some of the things that matter. If there's too much of it, you have to pick. You've all heard the term, pick your battle. Okay.
Yep.
Pick your battle. You can't, even though there's some things that matter in my life. My family, my daughter made a comment one time, said, we don't have a family tree, we have a hedgerow. Okay. So I just have to pick certain things that, the rest of it, it doesn't matter. It's okay. Just let it go, move on, and worry about the things that are closest to me and that matter the most to me. And after that, it's okay. And once we start learning that and narrowing down what is important,
Yeah.
and the other thing is, we can't let people tell us what's important, because what's important to me may not be important to Patty, okay? And vice versa. So we can't demand everybody say this has to matter to you, because it may not. And if Patty and I worked together now for 15 years? 15 years. Now, let's hypothetically say that there was too many things that I didn't care about that she did, or vice versa. Then we'd have to go that route where we say, you know what, this isn't going to work. See ya. Okay, doesn't mean she's bad, doesn't mean I'm bad. And the sooner you realize that, the less anxiety and the less things that really bother you about it. But oftentimes we just let it fester and we just try to change somebody. That brings up a point. Remember, you can never, ever change somebody. You can't. We try to, but we can't.
Yep.
I always go back to something Dr. Nelson told me years ago, and some of you heard this. Patty and I went to a meeting, and I think it was the first time she went to Salt Lake with me, and the first time she probably met Dr. Well, no, you met her here, but at a training. And we were talking about in the training, there was probably 35 people there, 40, I don't know. And we were talking about how people need us and who needs us and all this stuff. And I made a comment from the back of the room, like I sometimes do and probably shouldn't, but I made a comment. I said, it irritates me so much when I see people that need my help, but they won't do anything. And she stopped what she was doing and walked down the center between everybody. And she got right close to our table and she pointed at me and she said, you know what your problem is? And of course, my thought right there to create a lot of stress because I had a new employee and all these people and all this stuff. And I thought to myself, couldn't, did you have to do it here? And she said, when you realize that you can't change anybody, that you can't make somebody do something they're not ready to do, you will be better for yourself. You'll be better for the people that want your help, etc. And that resonated with me because I went through a few years where I was just really stressed over the people that I saw were really unhealthy, but wouldn't do anything. And sometimes I heard that they had a heart attack or they died or something. I just felt horrible. And when she said that and it resonated, and after that, when people say, I'm not going to do anything, I don't care, I just go, either do I. It's okay. All right. And it's not because I don't care about them. It's because I can't change them. So I want all of us to understand, you can't change anybody. Nobody in your family, nobody can you change if they don't want to change. All right. What you can do is walk away. That's all you can do. Or let them do what they want to do. That's it. So, and yes, and Patty just said, change yourself. Okay. Change your belief. Not to the negative, take care of yourself. If they don't want to in any form or facet, then that's their prerogative, okay? You can't love somebody so much that they're gonna change your way of thinking. So, okay. What can you do to reduce stress? Okay, well, popping the balloon probably isn't gonna really do it, okay? Come here. All right, so we have chemicals in our brain that that we need to think about, okay? And these are happiness chemicals. And how do we boost them? The first one we're going to talk about is dopamine, okay? Dopamine is a chemical. It's what is called the reward motivation chemical. So when we have that type of chemical, that one helps us to say, okay, I'm going to finish this task. We're not going to be jumpers. We're going to finish the task, okay? And when we do that, we celebrate the small wins. Too often we do things, we do a good job, and when we think, it's just a little thing, it's no big deal. We need to celebrate the victories, no matter how small they are. Because I guarantee you, most of you listening, when you don't accomplish something, you beat yourself up. But if you accomplish something, no matter how simple it is, you don't take credit and a pat on the back. So you need to do that. Other people shouldn't have to do it for you. You need to do it just in your own mind. All right? Dopamine is self-care. When people lack dopamine, they quit exercising. They quit taking care of themselves. Their hygiene will drop off, okay? Good dopamine means you're going to exercise. You're going to have the motivation to do something, no matter, even if your health is not so good, you're going to find things you can do to improve that. People with good dopamine like to listen to music, and they're grateful for things. They feel good when somebody does something for them. All right. So that's the dopamine. The next one is oxytocin. Okay.
This one's a tongue twister.
Yeah. Oxytocin. I almost said Oxycontin, but that wouldn't be right. Okay. Now, this one is your love and contentment hormone. All right. So this one creates healthy relationships. You know, people that have this oxytocin, they like to hug. Okay, they're huggers. They like to play with say with their dog or their, you know, their animals that they have, and they love helping others. They thrive on helping others. They like to hold hands. They just like to be with somebody and seeing somebody get ahead based on their helping them. Okay. The next one is serotonin. Serotonin is the one that helps you to relax. And oftentimes when I do my Zyto scans, we see that serotonin is way off. So people that have a good serotonin, they'll like to meditate, pray, just take time and just, you know, do things that makes them relax. They do a lot of deep breathing. And when we say deep breathing, we're talking about that 4-7-8. You know, breathe deep, because some of you heard this before, but when you breathe in, that's the only time your heart has to work. When you hold it and release the breath, your heart is at rest. So if you think about it, if you can control the amount of times that you breathe in, that's why we do 4-7-8. So count of 4, you're breathing in, but count of 7, you're holding, count of 8, you're releasing. So for 15 seconds, you're releasing and relaxing the heart, and 4 seconds, you're making it work. Now, if you think about that, if you did that, you're only going to take about 3.5 breaths a minute. Do anybody have any idea what the average number of breaths most people take on an ongoing basis? Anybody want to take a wild guess? 20 to 25. That means that you're taking a breath in about once every second or so. We shallow breathe. So we're constantly in, out, okay? So what you want to do is you want to learn to slow down the breathing. If you're exercising, one way and you get going, you finally get going and you say, man, I'm already tired. You take a deep breath, hold it. While you're continuing exercise, hold it for 5-8 seconds, and then release it really slow. You'll all of a sudden have more energy. Okay? And that is why people that are into weightlifting and doing things, they tell them, okay, when you breathe in when you're relaxed and you breathe out when you're stressed. Most people do it the other way around. They want to lift something heavy. As they're lifting, they take a deep breath. Well, you're making your heart work while everything else is working. But you want to take the deep breath, lift, when you're lifting, let it out. And then your heart is relaxed. So it's much easier to do it and your muscles and everything respond. Okay, so serotonin, deep breathing. People that do have good serotonin like to run. They enjoy the sun. Certain foods that they'll eat is oatmeal, some bananas, okay? So that's your serotonin relaxing. And the other one is endorphins, okay? That's the painkiller. And the painkiller is laughter, dancing, okay? Meditation. So that kind of goes with the serotonin. Vanilla or lavender essential oils is really good for endorphins because it relaxes but the laughter, we talked about laughter earlier. So when everybody was doing those little things and everybody's laughing, guess what? Those endorphins were just hopping around in your brain saying, this is cool, this is fun, okay, I'm feeling good. So your dopamine is your reward motivation. Oxytocin is your love contentment hormone. Serotonin is your mood stabilizer, and your endorphins are the painkillers, okay? So again, if you're in pain, find something to make yourself laugh, okay? Make yourself laugh, and you'll find the pain will decrease. Oftentimes in pain, we just get angry and we get uptight, etc. So the pain will increase. Okay. So questions to check in with yourself. Okay. How am I feeling? Okay. So we want to take stock of how we feel on a regular basis. How do I feel? What is not, oh, Nancy, you got a question?
Yeah, you could just take a minute and explain again the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and the endorphins. The only one I got was endorphins is the painkiller, serotonin is the what?
Mood stabilizer.
Oh, and what are the other ones?
The endorphins is a painkiller.
Yeah,
The oxytocin is your
Yeah.
love contentment hormone.
Yeah.
And the dopamine is your reward or motivation chemical.
okay, thanks.
You're very welcome. Okay. Okay, so now question, how you want to take stock how you're feeling at any given time. How am I feeling? Okay. And then if you're not feeling so well or anything, what isn't working right now? Okay, and it can change day to day, hour by hour in some cases. Okay, what is working? And based on that, what do I need? Okay, what do I need in order to make myself feel better? And I don't mean, like, what do I need? I need to quit work and go home. Okay, that's not, we're talking more, what can I do to make myself feel better, make this work better for myself right now? Then you want to think about yourself. What am I proud of? Okay, and I think what am I proud of? Oftentimes we live in a negative world. We don't think about, we're so down on ourselves all the time. And I'm guilty of myself. Every one of you have a million things you should be proud of. Okay. But we don't think, we always go to the negative and we always go to what I did wrong. I did that wrong. Patty will tell you there's nobody harder on anybody than I am myself. I'll cuss myself out and she'll go, would you stop that? And it's true. I shouldn't do that. Okay. If I'm playing golf and hit some bad shots, I cuss myself out. Okay. I get angry at myself, and that's not a good trait. I need to think, what am I proud of? Okay. Golf or something might not be, but I got yesterday or day before, we got a client send us a testimonial or a comment, and it was just fabulous. I'm proud of that. I'm proud that I'm able to help people in their health. I need to take, and we all have certain things that we're proud of. And then what can I let go of? What is it that harbors in my brain that makes me upset with myself or different things? What can I do just to let go and just say, it's not important? Because most of the time when we are feeling bad, we're beating ourselves up. We'll think other people are, but in reality, we are doing it to ourselves. We're letting it, we're absorbing it. We're letting it just get under our skin and stress us out instead of saying, you know what? I'm proud of myself for what I do. You know what? Can I get better? Absolutely. All right. But if I do what I need to do, I think positive, and then let go of the stuff I can't control, I'm going to be feeling a whole lot better when really push comes to shove. So that's the way we need to, that's questions, just our self check-in, okay? Check in on yourself. Whenever you start feeling down, check in on yourself. What is making this happen and what isn't working? And then what is working? And if you tell me everything is not working and nothing is working, then I would tell you we need to think a little bit deeper, because that is not the case for anybody, ever. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit, this time of year and all this stuff that's happening, holidays, it's always, we need to, for those people who celebrate the holidays, I know there's some that don't, but it's still the time of year when everybody's going 1,000 miles an hour. So we're going to address that, okay? Number one, we want to acknowledge your feelings. So we need to understand that between Thanksgiving and New Year's, there are more people that pass away from heart disease, heart attack, strokes, all kinds of illnesses than all the rest of the year combined. So oftentimes we have issues going on in our life like that, okay? We have to understand that it's normal to feel sadness and grief. Never let somebody tell you get over it, all right? That is not anybody's place to tell you how you should feel about anything, all right? And I don't care if it's a spouse, I don't care if it's children, say, oh, you know what, don't worry about it. No, that is not the way that we handle ourselves and help to get rid of stress and depression. You cannot force yourself to be happy just because it's the holiday season. Remember that, all right? Just because everybody says you're supposed to run around with a Santa hat on doesn't mean you have to be happy and jovial, all right? So there's times in our life when we need to sit and reflect, and we just need to do what we got to do. Number 2, reach out, okay? If you feel lonely, isolated, sad, and maybe you don't even know why, all right? To seek out help, whether it's through the community, your church, social events, on the website, whatever it might be, social media, that type of things, reach out to somebody. If you feel you can't reach out and tell your closest friends, and sometimes it needs to be outside of the house, okay, how you feel, and if person won't listen to you for a little bit, then they're not a friend, okay? They're not the person that you should be attaching your emotions to. We all are in this world to help each other. And if somebody needs help, just somebody to listen. And like I said, a lot of times, I'm single, but if Patty is down and out and she goes and tries to talk to her husband all the time, and maybe that's not, sometimes we just need that outside, somebody that we can talk to. So reach out, all right? So then volunteering your time is another thing. Do something different. Jenna mentioned that she was at a soup kitchen or something, I think yesterday. Things like that can really kind of take your mind away. And what it also does, it makes you realize how fortunate we are when you see other people that are so much less fortunate, okay? Be realistic, okay? Everything doesn't have to be perfect, and I don't care what time of the year it is. Everything doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the way it was last year, because as families grow, change, viruses fly around, okay? Family says, I'm not coming around, we want to go a different direction, et cetera, et cetera. You just be realistic that life is going to change, all right? I know me, I used to want to go out all the time and do stuff, and now I just like to sit back, be comfortable, and say to heck with it, okay? So we just got to be realistic. We're going to change, other people are going to change, etc. All you can do is reach out to people. If they want to participate with you, fine. If they've got things they need to do, be understanding, understand everybody's going to change, okay? Set aside differences. If you have any differences with people, and oftentimes when, this time of year, people are getting together more and more, if we all have people in our family, I think we all do, that we just kind of go, really, how did that happen? Okay. I can't believe we're blood related. You just got to say, it's okay. It's all right. Because somebody is probably thinking that about me too in my family. So that's okay. I just let it go, get through it, smile when you need to smile, and stay away from the arguments. That's the biggest thing that I think we have to just be understanding. Not everybody's going to share your beliefs, etc. So we just need to show our love, and hopefully we get it back in return. But if not, it's okay. All right. Next one, I think, is huge for stress. Stick to a budget. Set a budget. Don't try to outdo everything, everyone. Because finances can cause more stress. Not only that, but other people say, oh, you gave so-and-so this, and I only, you got to stay away from it. Stick to something, make that happen. And you know what? If money is tight, don't do anything. Just show love, okay? Love and understanding. If you want to do things, donate to a charity in someone's name. Do homemade gifts, that type of thing. Last one is plan ahead. Okay, the next one. Oh, plan ahead. Okay, make a plan, just like you would at work or anywhere else. Make a plan. If you wait till the last minute, does that create any stress for anybody?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, people say, oh, I got to do this because I haven't done anything. I haven't gotten nothing done, and people are waiting on. And that's in all facets of our life. Okay. The next one, learn to say no. There's somebody on here that we've talked about this. I won't say the name, but there is learn to say no. It's okay to say no to family. You don't have to be the taxi driver. You don't have to be Uber. You don't have to be the one that everybody crowds around. Sometimes you just got to say, you know what? No, thank you. I can't do it. And it doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you bad. It's the oxytocin in you, okay? It's the, love and contentment. If you say yes to everything, you're going to have the endorphin, issue. You're going to have pain, all right? Because you can't take on everything. So learn to say no. It's hard, but learn to say it. Don't abandon healthy habits because of holidays or anything. People say, oh, let's just go out and throw caution to the wind. Don't do it. Why? Because once you start doing it, you're going to want to do more. And more becomes more. All right. And learn to, again, that goes back to saying no. You can go out with people, you can do things, but you don't have to do the things they say that they want to do. If they, again, I go back to the point, if people say, well, you were more fun before when you used to do this and this, well, that's not that. This is the new me. I want to be healthy. I don't want to be at an elder age and can't function. I don't want it. And the best way for that to happen is to do what I'm supposed to do. When I read scripture, it says, take care of your body. That's a temple. Okay. Don't forget that. Don't abandon that. Love yourself enough to say no and stay away from excess alcohol. Stay away from the foods that aren't going to help you, because when you eat bad, you're not going to sleep as well. When you eat bad, you are going to have some anxiety, etc. So believe me, don't abandon your healthy habits. Learn to say no. The next one, take a breather. Okay, make some time for yourself. Don't be the person that got to make sure everybody is taken care of before you do, because you'll never, ever have time for yourself. All right, take a walk by yourself if you have to. Do some stargazing, listen to some soothing music, read a book. And if people say, well, there's stuff to do, you know what? This is my time. The other time is a time I'll do that stuff, but this is my time. Give me my time, and learn to tell people you're going to take time, but it comes back to say no. Learn to say no. Take time for yourself. If people want your time when it's your time, say no. Okay? So those are some tips. Anybody have any questions about all those? Okay. So there is some rules in life to remember about stress, okay? Money can't buy you happiness, but it is more comfortable to cry in a Mercedes than on a bicycle. So just say,
True.
okay? Forgive your enemy, but remember their name, okay? Help someone when they are in trouble, and they will remember you when they are in trouble again. all right? So again, if you are always bailing them out, every time they get in trouble, they're going to be at your door. So again, it comes back to say no. And remember, there are many people that are alive only because it's illegal to shoot them.
I agree.
Okay.
Now you just spoiled everything, John.
No, I just let you know what was illegal, right? And remember, alcohol does not solve problems, but then again, neither does milk. So, those are some things to remember, okay? That might just help you get rid of a little bit of stress, all right? So just remember, you can't shoot them. That's the main one to remember, all right? Okay. So I hope this helped a little bit. I'd like to have some questions. If you have questions, anything that I can answer, I would love to answer for you or give you some ideas.